This is insane. Okay, let me tell you what's going on here. We're going to give you a rundown for the night. This is where I'm actually going to chop everything off and actually start the program, because this has been a challenge. Let's do that too, so that I am actually in place. Why does this seem absolutely chaotic? Well, it's because there's been some crazy stuff happening right now. On Sunday night, must have been a big storm that came through, and it took out my soundboard because everything stopped working, and I just kind of got it working. I was like, okay, we're gonna have it working. We're gonna get it done Monday, and then another storm came through. This must be the storm day, because a giant tree fell across my driveway and I couldn't get home. So I spent about until 11:50 cutting a tree up and so I could actually get home. And it was absolutely insane. I wish I had a picture I can show you of it, but maybe I'll pull it up later while there's B-roll running. And then I thought, you know what? We'll just run it Wednesday, or Tuesday. This is Tuesday. And I thought, okay, no problem. I got my truck and my tractor stuck and in the mud, and it was like 8 p.m. and I'm thinking, what am I gonna do? So I'm down in the mud with a jack and a bunch of 2x4s, and I've got people with me. I finally got it out, but a big rock came, smashed my window, and the glass came and smashed me, and I was like, I'm not doing the show again tonight. My family's like, you're going to do the show, just go and get it done. So I sat down at this computer and I'm like, okay, no problem. Loaded up everything, and the board doesn't work again. It's not a bad board. It's not old. It's just this has been an immense time for prayer, because what we're talking tonight, we're talking about the Antichrist. We're talking about the Antichrist. Did my microphone go out for a second? And let me just tell you straight up front, how do you identify that? And this is what everyone needs to know. This is a simple answer. You go to Revelation 17, and there's one verse in there, I believe it's 18, that really reveals it. I mean, everything else is pretty much just upholds this, if you look throughout the verse 17. But we're going to show you how this is actually connected, not just to Bible prophecy, but also to the spiritualism that is happening right now in the world. It's happening right now, and this next pope is going to be the one that reveals this stuff. I'm positive of this. And so is everyone else that's talking about this on the news right now. And I'm going to show you clips that talk about this stuff. But before we do that, if I don't get anything else tonight, I want to get this one more thing, and that's verse 18. And it says, "And the woman whom you saw is the great city which reigns over the kings of the earth." That's Revelation 17:18. If you understand who's talking in this book, understand it's John. Back in his time, what was the great city? That was Rome. Okay, so we know that a woman, and we're going to step back into Bible prophecy, understanding Revelation. A woman represents churches, right? And beasts, represent nationalities, big cities, big countries. So this is a big deal, because this one verse, he doesn't even try to hide it. He's like, look, I'm showing you that what's going to happen here is going to be related to a Roman power, and not just a Roman power, but it's going to have a church-state connection. Do you understand this? So this is why when Protestants, which a lot of churches out here, when I say out here, out in the USA, let me look at my stream, make sure I'm streaming here. A lot of churches, when they shy away from saying, oh, we don't know who the Antichrist is, the only other real interpretation for this came from the Catholic Church. Because of what they said, well, yeah, we got to figure out what's going on here and make a new interpretation of this, because it's too obvious in Revelation 17:18 that John's talking about the Roman power that becomes a church and state power, and everything else kind of holds this. Like if you go to, reason why I'm going straight into a Bible study is because I don't know if this is going to work anymore. But let me just tell you this before we get into the real juicy stuff of spiritualism. Verse 4 talks about how she's dressed in purple and scarlet and adorned in precious gold and pearls, and we see that throughout all the conclave, all this stuff that happened, pomp and circumstance. They're all dressed in scarlet and purple. That's that's it. That's interesting. You can't make a conclusion with that. 18 is the conclusive one. Everything else is just kind of upholds that idea. She calls herself mother. That's verse 5. The Catholic Church calls herself the Mother Church. Interesting. And she has harlot daughters. And if you look back and you can kind of figure out well, this is the Mother Church and she has daughters. Well, the daughters that came out of her, there are a lot of very apostate, very, very, very bad Christian churches. Because the truth needs to be split up, because that's what Satan does. He divides and conquers. And if you look into, and this is the conclusive verse 9, so chapter 17, verse 9, it says, she sits on 7 mountains. Rome is called the city on 7 hills. So this is it. This is it. That's all you need to know. You go to 17, you can prove this stuff, because you will be needing to prove this stuff. It's coming. Okay, so let's go into this the interesting stuff, because lots has happened here, and I'm sure most of you are pretty caught up on the idea that what's his name? Trump has wanted to be Pope. So let's watch that real quick again.
And I do want to pop up this image right here on your screen. Now, ahead of the conclave, the White House posting this AI-generated photo of President Trump as the Pope. No caption there, but the image retweeted about 29,000 times with, as you'd imagine, a lot of comments. Just a week ago, President Trump traveled to the Vatican alongside the First Lady, Melania Trump, and a lot of other world leaders for the funeral of Pope Francis. Important to note, of course, the two had their disagreements over the years, but President Trump said he wanted to honor the Pope's memory.
There's uproar today over this image of President Trump dressed as the next Pope.
Him tweeting out an AI-created image of him posing as the Pope is disrespectful, it is frankly disgusting, and it is outrageous.
But the president is brushing off the controversy.
Does it at all diminish the substance of the official White House account to have it go out on that particular channel?
Give me a break. It was just somebody did it in fun. It's fine. Have to have a little fun, don't you?
New York's Cardinal Timothy Dolan is in Rome for the upcoming conclave.
The president appearing as the Pope, yeah. I hope he didn't have anything to do with that.
Are you offended by that?
Well, it wasn't good.
Wow. Why is this still running?
Good.
All right, there we go. Let's stop this. All right, I'm getting confused because I hear stuff in my ears that you guys don't hear. Okay, so let's continue. What is actually happening here? So, you don't see any other pastors, any other Baptist pastors. You don't see Adventist pastors. You don't see Methodist pastors. You don't see evangelical pastors that were coming into town or anything like that. That the president wants to be like, right? So we have something that is becoming very close and in common. Two hands are joining here, even though the President Trump doesn't really like the idea of having the Pope try to tell him what to do. He's going to probably start respecting this new guy that came in. Who is this new guy? Well, we're going to dig into that tonight and why he chose the name Leo. Check this out.
Proprio sentendomi chiamato a proseguire in questa scia, ho pensato di prendere il nome di Leone XIV. Diverse le ragioni, però principalmente il Papa Leone XIII.
All right, so check this out. Everyone, you need to read what's going on here because this is really interesting. It says there is a different reason for this, but mainly he chose the Pope, Pope Leo XIV, because Pope Leo XIII, which is I think 10 plus 3, so that's 13. So he's Pope Leo XIV. Pope Leo XIII is his historic encyclical Renum I'm going to mutilate this. Novorum. Renewum Novorum. If you've studied and understood what this is about, this is really significant for Bible prophecy. And he's fascinated. Number one, he's English speaking, and he is also talking about how it's important and historic. There is another reason for this, but mainly because of the historic encyclical. Very interesting, huh? We're going to dig into that a little bit later, but let's continue, because you need to remember this encyclical. Very interesting stuff, and how he's so focused on the rights of the people. The rights of the people. What's a right of the people that is sometimes overlooked? Perhaps worship. Perhaps the need and how to work. This is where things are going right now. And so he's a pope that loves the people and wants to make sure that they have the best kind of life, that they enjoy their time off and their time with God. Could it be that someday this pope, who speaks English and combines hands with a president who really doesn't know a lot about religion, let's be honest, and I'm not saying I'm political either way on this, but and when that happens, something big is going to happen. Revelation 13 talks about that. It talks about how there will be a forced worship that eventually starts as a holiday, and it's a good thing, but eventually turns into, if you don't worship this way, it's going to be very bad. Can you imagine if there's big events that start happening? Spiritualism starts happening, exactly how we've talked about in this channel. Everyone would want to have a different form of that spiritualism. I mean, everyone would want to have a different form of religion suddenly at that time that might not be accurate to the Bible. So let's continue to hear what he has to say about choosing his name. It's really interesting.
Infatti, con la storica enciclica Rerum Novarum, affrontò la questione sociale nel contesto della prima grande rivoluzione industriale.
The last pope to take the name Leo led the church from 1878 to 1903 and was known for his devoted focus to social justice issues, and is often credited with laying the foundation for modern Catholic social teaching.
What greater honor could there be?
All right, let's pause it right there. That is very, very interesting what's going on right now. I'm going to turn off auto next because that didn't need to come just yet. But so we have the Pope, and he's taken the name. Come back to me. This is going to be a little bit of a disorganized show, folks, because I can't hear what's going on, and I'm actually going in a little bit blind. So that's what's going on right now. But there was and also another Pope. Let's talk about the popes. We'll talk about all the Leos real quick, because I think that's really interesting. Pope Leo I was Leo the Great, because he established the Holy Roman Empire. Someone emailed this to me, and I appreciate it. I won't say your name, because I don't know if you want me to reveal you. But I'm going to read a little bit what you said, because I think it's very interesting what you were talking about on here. Pope Leo I, the first, was Leo the Great because he established the Holy Roman Empire. He built on the foundation of the left, foundation left by Clovis, not on the foundation on the left. Built on the foundation left by Clovis. Pope Leo III, we're going to skip Pope Leo II for a second, crowned Charlemagne. Charles I, aka Charles the Great, the first Holy Roman Emperor in 795. And if you're wondering why am I looking up, I'm looking up at my screen because I can't look straight at you because I don't have the teleprompter working. Everything's broken today. But so under Pope Leo III's guidance, Charlemagne reformed the economy, education, and government administration. So important to the Catholic Church was Charlemagne that a mosaic in the Vatican shows Charlemagne and Leo III kneeling together at the feet of St. Peter. I wish I had a picture of that. I should bring that up. The Catholic Church credits Charlemagne as uniting the world of politics and religion. What's in a name? You got to wonder, what's in a name? So, Pope Leo XIV, the 14th, I guess you could say, will reestablish, I think this is what's going to happen, will reestablish the Holy Roman Empire that Leo I built. He will replicate the work of Leo III on a global scale. He will redeem and vindicate the humiliation of Leo X due to Martin Luther and the Reformation. And he will fulfill the ideologies outlined in the Renewum Novarum for Pope Leo XIII. We are entering into the final showdown between two lions right now, Leo the lion. The lion of Babylon and the lion of the tribe of Judah. Something is happening. So I actually dug into this a little further. I thought, what does ChatGPT have to say about this? I was thinking we could just dig into this just for fun for a second. ChatGPT says, by choosing Leo, the new pope intentionally invokes Leo's first and Leo's third church-state unity, aiming to rebuild a global moral political order. Similar to what this person sent me. Echoing Leo X's broken ambition, Leo the 14th, this new pope, will present himself as the restorer who redeems papal authority from the wounds inflicted by Luther's Reformation. In the spirit of Renewum Novarum, anticipate renewed Vatican lobbying for robust welfare measuring, including universal days off. I'm feeding it. It's coming up with this stuff. It's saying, wow, look at what's happened in the past. What's in a name? This guy was very concerned about the people. Could it be that this will follow Bible prophecy? Of course, ChatGPT understands my background and what I've talked about, so it's kind of probably polishing that in there a little bit. But it says it will be under the banner of human dignity. And it says, there are 4 things to watch out for. This is what ChatGPT said. It said, diplomatic initiatives between the Vatican and secular governments on labor and human rights legislation. Number 2, encyclical or council statements explicitly endorsing Sunday rest laws as a universal human right. Worship laws. Number 3, encyclical pacts uniting Protestant bodies all around share social justice platforms, precursors to a religious political coalition. And number 4, the final one, intensified moral legal campaigns, rights to rest, perhaps by the unions, using church-state channels to enforce religious observing laws. This all, and the Pope is young too, so it might be immediately, it might not be. These lights are flickering. I'm going to try to reset this real quick. Now I'm dark. You guys can't see me. I'm going to turn this back on. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's interesting because we already heard that the Pope, the Trump Pope wants to, and I'm not being facetious on this. I know there's a lot of very political people here that are very upset if I say that Trump Pope, or if I sound like I'm being facetious towards Trump. I'm not. He admitted, he posted a picture that he wanted to be the Pope. So I'm just going to call him Pope Trump for now because he wants to get rid of the whole separation of church and state anyway. That really bothers me. And this is from a guy who's primarily in life voted conservative. And so it's very interesting to see all this stuff coming from republicanism. So let's watch this real quick. This was actually B-roll. This is actually the Vatican. My friend Andrew Jones. We recently had a podcast with him on where he talked about a lot of stuff that he was out over there in Europe and other places, revealing where specific biblical sites were. And so I want to show you what he has been doing. He's been actually out in Rome right now. I'll cut over while I'll talk about this. This was before the election of the Pope. He was over there. And I'm going to have him talk for a second about everything that's happening. Listen to this.
Hey, Brad, I am here in St. Peter's Square. You can see the obelisk in the middle there right behind me. And the faithful are filling it up for the noon address by the new Pope, Pope Leo XIV. And here is St. Peter's Basilica right over there. And you can see that the crowds are coming in, walking in. There are a lot of newspaper reporters. I should say not newspaper, but news reporters. And people doing interviews on the street. And just a lot of camera people around from the news organizations. And different flags, people carrying American flags especially, and also other countries. Over here we actually have an Israeli Vatican flag. And yeah, so we have a couple hours to kill before the address. And I'm assuming by then this whole area will be full of people. And where I'm at, I didn't get up early for front row seats, but I'm beside where sometimes the Pope Mobile comes down. And so a lot of people are taking their spot along the fence line, hoping that they can get a good view, front row seat of the Pope coming by. And so we'll see. Maybe this is a good spot. Maybe he'll only go up to the front. But at any rate, this is history in the making, having a new Pope in the Vatican that is an American. Prophecy doesn't say we need an American, but at any rate, this does not hurt having an American in who's progressive but center, seems like, and who is from the Augustinian order. So very interesting. It's a very small order, one that's focused on helping the poor, and we believe that with him picking the name Leo, he will be focused on workers' rights. Of course, the last Leo was Leo XIII from the 1800s, and we know that his encyclical back then was actually promoting workers' rights and a day off for them. And of course, every encyclical seems to promote Sunday sacredness, but it's just interesting that he did choose that name. So yeah, we are here reporting from.
All right, so
St. Peter's Square.
Let's also see what's going on here. This is right after he said that.
There he is, folks. Pope Leo
XIV. So I'm not going to give this guy, not my friend Andrew, but I'm not going to give the Pope any more airtime. But I think it's interesting that we have an American Pope that's very, very close to us. In fact, his first speech was in English. I wish I had a clip of that. I was watching that just the other day, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm listening to a regular. Very popular pastor on TV. He was so charismatic and such a nice guy. And I thought this would really connect with a lot of people in America. And that's what we're going to see. And we're going to see the connection of America with the papacy and spiritualism. And how do I know that? How do I know that this is going to happen and it's going to be connected to pure spiritualism? Well, let's find out. Let's see, what are we on? He picked the name. The Pope is the key. Yeah, this is crazy. Let's go to number 3 real quick. See if we can do that. Is this the one? Yeah, here we go. Listen to this.
It turns out Pope Leo XIV has a spiritual connection to the Vatican's long history of astronomical research, and a personal connection to a land where mysterious phenomena aren't confined to the heavens. They are literally carved into the ground. A lot has been made already about why the successor of Peter and the immediate successor of Francis took the name Leo. The last Pope Leo ruled for 25 years at the end of the 19th century. He's known as the social justice pope, using the ultimate pulpit to speak up for workers' rights and economic fairness. In fact, the Vatican has now confirmed the new pope picked his new name for that very reason. But you know what else Pope Leo XIII did? He established the Vatican Observatory, cementing the Church's long-standing fascination with the heavens. Not just heaven, either. Even now, the Vatican operates a state-of-the-art telescope system on the outskirts of Rome and Mount Graham in Arizona. Vatican astronomers collaborate with astronomers in leading institutions worldwide. Their findings, their methods, and their research, like all Vatican records, are preserved for the ages, you guessed it, in the Vatican archives. And they could help answer an ancient debate. Whether centuries-old sightings of angels and other heavenly beings were actually extraterrestrials, non-human visitors from somewhere else in the universe, you know, like the Tic Tacs that we've been seeing lately.
Wow. Wow. So that obviously poses a lot of questions. This spiritualism that's coming upon the world, a lot of the atheistic mindset will say, well, these are just aliens. A lot of the religious mindset will say, wow, this is actually angels. Their angels have come upon us. And that's what we've talked about in the past. I've shown you quotes of people that have shown us that this is what's coming upon the world. This is the spiritualism that's going to appear. And this is the connection that's going to happen, because the Pope has the keys to the Vatican archives, which everyone wants to pour through, because everyone says, well, these things, they have so much, such a similar connection to these. Maybe they are angels. Folks, this is all happening right now. This is it. This is phenomenal that more churches aren't talking about this, because this is the spiritualism that's happening. It's just gone under the radar as UFOs and aliens and ETs, and then those that have talked about this are made to look crazy so that it can fly under the radar, and we don't have to, and they don't have to worry about this getting out, because these things have been here all the time. I've even wondered if they've flown so they were always visible, and they just fly so fast, or they're so far up there. You know, Satan is the power of the heavens, power of the air, and that we don't see them. All these weird changes into your family members or anything like that, yeah, they can transform themselves or at least project something. I'm not sure how that happens. It's not for us to know right now. But something is happening here, and they have been around us all the time. There's even indications that they have been in the water off the coasts of either coast, Pacific and Atlantic, at least here in the States. So it's very interesting what's happening right now, because as the military focuses their attention on this stuff. Let's dig further. That was, remind me, what was that? Number 3. Pope has the key to the Vatican and the key to the Vatican library, and so obviously David Grutch. Who is David Grutch? Well, he's a Pentagon official that came out of the Pentagon and said, yeah, we actually have been tracking these strange visible objects that come out of the water, and they're big fireballs, big glowing fireballs that travel across the sky. And we've been tracking these things, but your government doesn't want to talk about it because we're not really sure what they are, and and there's some other reasons too that are a little bizarre. But let's go into that as she talks more about that. Listen to this.
Pope Francis, by the way, just last fall authorized an expansion of the Vatican archives and library, which already comprise 50 miles of shelving. And since this is the 21st century, archivists are scrambling to digitize everything that's down there. The books, the files, even the parchment papers. The hunt for proof of alien life in the Vatican files picked up steam in 2023 when a former U.S. intelligence official named David Grush told Congress that the Vatican had been involved in a cover-up. David Grush later provided more details to News Nation's Ross Coulthart, and here is some of their conversation.
So let's start from the very beginning. You say it's a 90-year cover-up.
Just about, yeah.
90 years?
1933 was the first recovery in Europe, in Magenta, Italy. They recovered a partially intact vehicle.
It's long been known that the regime of dictator Benito Mussolini documented numerous UAP during this time. This internal memo from the Italian secret services includes crude drawings of the UAPs. It's true, it's real.
Yeah, that actually happened. The Italian government moved it to a secure air base in Italy for the rest of kind of the fascist regime until 1944, 1945. And, the Pope Pius XII back-channeled that.
So the Vatican was involved?
Yeah, and told the Americans what the Italians had, and we ended up scooping it.
So let me be very clear about this. You're saying that the Catholic Church, the Vatican, they know about the existence of non-human intelligence on this planet?
Certainly.
Wow. Okay, so after that, we've gotten more news that has said some of the Vatican officials, especially the ones that are new, they are like, oh, that's laughable. We don't know anything about this, but they have 50 miles of documents down there, and so Pentagon is saying, yeah, we know this stuff because we've been down there, but there's other officials at the Vatican that say, what are you talking about? We don't know anything like that. So that's still up in the air. Believe what you want about that. I think the guy that's this guy that was talking was saying this stuff. That's News Nation, but he went to Congress, went to the Senate, I forget which one, and he said this under oath. Penalty of perjury. He was like, look, if I'm wrong about this, I'm willing to go to jail because I'm gonna have to swear under oath that I'm telling the truth. So it's really interesting that you have all these guys coming out of the Pentagon route, Lou Elizondo, David Grush, and 40 others. There's 40 other people that's happening right now. If you watch Ross Coulthart's reports on YouTube on News Nation, every other week he comes out with another whistleblower. If you're wondering why I have mud on my face and on my hands, it's because it was a day. It was a day of chaos. And you can remember, if you want to rewind, watch the beginning, you'll understand. So obviously the Jesuit Harvard lawyer, Danny Sheehan, who we talked about on here before, he's gotten involved too, and he wants to say a few things about it. So he's gotten on News Nation and talked about it. Now listen to what he says about this, about what he thinks the Pope is going to do about all this stuff very soon. Listen.
Well, here we are a half century later, and we have a new Pope who seems to have this sort of slight connection, at least to the scientific heavens anyway. And I'm wondering if you think it's going to make any difference. Do you think that this new Pope will actually help UFO enthusiasts and others gain access to whatever secrets lie beneath the Vatican?
I do believe so, yes. I believe that he has a history, as did Leo XIII, that preceded him, actually in trying to establish the relationship between the cutting edge of science and the most profound fundamental theological concepts of a metaphysical dimension that is not accessible by most people. That's the key to this man. He is a person who wants to bring together science and theology to be able to bring the Catholic Church into the 21st century so we can begin to adjust the institutions of our planet to cope with the reality that there's an extraterrestrial, non-human civilization that surrounds us, and the fact that they've been coming and going from our planet at least since the detonation of the first nuclear explosion in 1945. So I think that he is going to be the disclosure Pope, in the same way that we are going to have a disclosure of what the American government knows about this in the next handful of years.
Now, listen to what he says about that, because when he says disclosure Pope, don't think aliens and UFOs and little green men. Think this. He's going to disclose that we've been talking to non-human intelligence. In other words, let me say it this way. There is another being, another intelligence that has been on this planet and that has been talking to us, talking to your government, and we've known about this for a long time. In other words, we know that something else is talking to us and it's telling us what to do. Does that seem creepy to you? Yeah, it does to me too, especially if our government is already planning this stuff, already talking about this stuff, and they've already been talking to these things for quite a while, at least parts of them. I don't believe at the president level that we really know this stuff, but I do think that there are different departments, maybe the Department of Energy, maybe something else around that consult with this stuff, much like certain sections of maybe Hollywood might do that as well. And that's not something that has been hidden. SpongeBob makes jokes about that, so I don't think I'm saying anything too crazy here. But to find out that the government is talking to NHI and we need to know more about that, that's the spiritualism that is talked about in the book The Great Controversy. If you don't have that book, email me. I'm going to send it to you. It's very interesting because all that is talked about right now. It's part of this life, what's going on now. And if you put all the pieces together that have been happening, everything from the Pope, right now, to spiritualism, to how fast things seem to be coming down the pipe, and how they think that all this is going to be disclosed by 2027, and they've even said further on things. Oh, it's just wild what's going on. In fact, you know what? We're on number 5 right now. I'm going to cruise down. There's some non-biblical prophecies stuff that I don't really take any seriously. It's fascinating though. I'm going to just show a few pieces of it because some of it I'm thinking, oh, come on, it's crazy. Others is like, that's weird, but I'm not going to show that. Yeah, I'm going to wait till the end. You're going to have to hold that thought. Let's continue with the show. Okay, so we're on number 5. Let's go to number 6. Number 6 talks a little bit about, does this contradict religion? No, it doesn't contradict religion. Not at all. Okay, so listen to this real quick.
Should the Vatican be concerned about any kinds of revelations or truth about aliens? Doesn't it contradict the teachings of the church if there are really aliens out there?
Well, what it does is it's different than the earliest 1st and 2nd century theology that was developed by the church at a point in time when 99.9% of all the people on the planet were completely illiterate and didn't travel more than 50 miles from the place where they were born. So that the formulation of these esoteric insights that the church has about the nature of human consciousness, our capabilities to engage in telepathic communication, the communion of the saints, if you will, life everlasting, which has to do with potential reincarnation, the ability to levitate, for example, like some monks in the Catholic monasteries are capable of doing, like Jesus walked on water, the ability to transmute matter from, for example, water into wine. These are capabilities that deal with the kind of deepest scientific secrets about the relationship of human consciousness and the subatomic nature of reality. This is what's in the process of coming forward, and that's why many of the institutions of power on the planet right now are so reluctant to open up that box. But the church has a fundamental responsibility to be the ushers in of a perception of our relationship to the universe, in our human consciousness to the evolution of our species. So I believe that the church is going to play a major role in doing this, and they've issued a statement back in November of 2009 stating that in light of the fact that we've now got these new spaceborne telescopes and they're discovering more and more of these new exoplanets, it's now clear, as they said, that much sooner than we had previously anticipated, we're going to discover that life exists elsewhere in the universe. And therefore, the time has arrived for the beginning of that all-important conversation about the profound philosophical and theological questions that are posed to our human family by the discovery of life elsewhere in the universe. That's the moment that we have reached now, and this will be the Pope who governs the largest single denomination on our planet of 1.4 billion people, to usher in this larger reality and integrate it with our sense of ourselves in the universe.
Wow. Wow. So Adrian brought something very interesting up in the chat. He said that this, and this is true, this guy who's talking, the guy with the big white curly hair, this is L. Ron Hubbard's lawyer. This was L. Ron Hubbard's lawyer. You know, L. Ron Hubbard was the guy who created the religion based on Scientology. Well, it's called Scientology, but it at the very top you learned that apparently there are aliens out there, or these demons or things that you have to get off yourself, and somehow, some way, something planted us here on Earth, and then all these spirit bodies are attacking us of some kind. It's very weird stuff. It's based on a science fiction novel, but the L. Ron Hubbard was this guy was the lawyer for him, and I think Stephen Greer, and I think also check me on this. I think also he's working with Lou Elizondo too. So very interesting stuff that is happening here, all over the place. And so that was Danny Sheehan. He's convinced that all this is coming down, and he has some insider stuff that he likes to talk about. Oh yeah, this is happening. He always reveals the whistleblowers before they actually come out and talk about it. So if he's talking about stuff and what he thinks is happening, chances are he's not just speaking out of what he thinks. He knows something's happening behind the scenes. So that was number 6. Number 7, and so they will lead the entire human family to a new understanding. What? All right, watch this.
And I believe that he's going to try to lead the entire human family, not just the 1.4 billion Catholics, but the entire human family, into a better understanding of our place in the universe and the relationship that our human species is going to play in relationship to the entire non-human civilization that surrounds us outside of our solar system. This is an extraordinary period of history that we're living through. The people that are listening to this program are going to be alive when this disclosure is made, not only by the United States government, but by the Vatican and by the leaders of the Jewish faith and the Hebrew, the Hindu faith, the Buddhist faith. All of the leaders of these major denominations on our planet know that our human family has much greater capabilities than we've been allowed to know about, and they know a lot more about the existence of this extraterrestrial civilization than they have yet publicly revealed. This is what's getting ready to happen in the next 5 to 6 years. Our new paradigm institute.
Oh, what? This is what's getting ready to happen in the next 5 to 6 years. Is that going out? Did you guys hear that? I mean, I want to make sure that I'm actually getting out this, because he's, like I said, this guy, he's a lawyer. He's not just speaking out just to say things that are untrue. He believes that this is happening in the next 5 to 6 years, or less, I'd say. And so all this spiritualism is gradually ramping up until it becomes a natural part of life. And this is what this channel was named after. The strange normal. Things that are strange in your life. We don't just talk about this weird spiritualism. We're going to talk a lot about country living. We're going to talk a lot about health and how it's important. We're going to talk a lot about these different things. But primarily, we're following along with this and saying, what is it about this stuff that is so important that we need to know right now? Where is the prophecy, and why is it important for my life? Let's make the Bible applicable. And if that's something that you resonate with and that you wish your church would do as well, come be part of our Discord group as well. You can do that going patreon.com/strange normal. Patreon.com/strange normal. The link will be in the comment section, the first comment pinned to the top as you go down and scroll down to the page there. You can click on it, become a member for less than a sit-down restaurant once per month. Come and help us continue this message that your church might not be preaching right now, which is spiritualism is coming upon this earth, and it's coming in the form that we would not expect. I'm also a real estate agent, and if you're looking for a house, I'd love to help you find that best real estate agent. You can give me a call, 423-749-0000. Your agent will pay this program a bit of his income for helping you find the right place. You have to know your location first. Don't say I'm moving somewhere in the U.S. I don't know where yet, because then I wouldn't know where to find your agent. But looking forward to your call anytime this week. Let's move on to the next thing, which I think is really fascinating, and it's like I said, this is interesting that this would come up, because there was a horror movie, and we're not going to watch it. But there was a trailer to it that's not gory, it's not bad, it's not scary, but it is just a clip I'm going to show you of, because it was sent to me. And I appreciate everybody that sends me information. You can send that to bradley@strangenormal.org. All that stuff gets dumped into Discord in the channel called Sent to Brad, and so that everyone else can review that as well. So this trailer, this really interesting trailer, it is in Spanish, so you'll have to read. So if you're watching or listening, look at your phones, look at your computer, because it's coming up now. And I want you to pay close attention to what this is saying, because oftentimes I believe we have this stuff in media that isn't put in there by man, but it is set in there so that it makes the people go in a certain direction because that's what everyone else is doing in the movie. Or this is how you should react because everyone's watching this and going, how should I react to someone if they say this? It's pushing a narrative that people want to abide by. And so let's dig into this real quick. This is called The Inhabitant. It's from 2017, and it's a movie on Netflix. It was in, I think, Spanish, which in itself is interesting because the Pope actually came from Peru, and he was doing a lot of work down there, so he knows a lot of Spanish. And so this was put out for primarily the Catholic Spanish-speaking people. And someone sent it to me and said, look, this talks about Pope Leo XIV. What happens to Pope Leo XIV in this movie? Well, watch and find out. This trailer. This is just a trailer.
Hace instantes, Monseñor Leonardo Vieri acaba de anunciar el fallecimiento del Papa León XIV ante la multitud congregada en la Plaza de San Pedro. Según los primeros informes que llegan desde el Vaticano, el Papa habría fallecido a causa de una septicemia y un colapso cardiopulmonar irreversible por el que había sido internado la semana pasada. Tras las exequias del pontífice, la congregación de cardenales deberá decidir la fecha de inicio del próximo cónclave, donde se elegirá al nuevo Papa.
All right, so what just happened there? Well, if you understood what he was saying, he's basically saying, look, the Pope died. Something major happened. The Pope dies, and what are they going to do now? It said it. Pope Leo XIV dies. Boy, I hope I'm saying that Roman numeral right. I'm saying this. I just say XIV. X, I think, is 10, right? And IV means 4, because V -1, since the I is on the left side. Look at me. I'm figuring out this stuff. So that's I think it's interesting that it said, okay, he died. What should happen when a pope dies? Well, watch this next clip. It's going to reveal what happens when the next pope dies, if he were to. Again, this isn't necessarily what's going to happen. This is just what propaganda is pushing out there to do, or what might happen, so now everyone goes insane if it does. Will there be more like this? I don't know, but this is the first one I've come across. Watch.
Decenas de miles de fieles celebraron con euforia el humo blanco salido hace algunas horas desde la chimenea del Vaticano, señalizando la elección de un nuevo pontífice. Según acaba de anunciar el protodiácono, el nuevo papa es el cardenal mexicano Pedro Natale, de 75 años, originario de Guadalajara y jesuita por más de 40 años. Y aquí vemos cómo comienzan a abrirse las cortinas del balcón de la logia. Por primera vez, el nuevo Papa sale al balcón a saludar a los fieles de la plaza de San Pedro.
Hermanos y hermanas, buenas noches. El cónclave ha depositado en mí su confianza para continuar con la tarea de Pedro. Y prometo no traicionar su confianza. Soy consciente de que estos son tiempos difíciles, de caos y de confusión. Pero también son tiempos de cambio. Nuestro Señor está más cerca que nunca, y con Él la llegada de la Tierra Nueva.
Okay, so this is already a little interesting, isn't it? So he's saying that these are interesting times, but look at her face. She's very concerned about something here, and it's not really revealing in this clip what's going on. I'm going to show you in a second, but it's saying that these are hard times. We know that's going to get harder. We know these are interesting times, times for change. What's happening here? Things are changing, but she's realizing. I wish you could see my mouse pointer. I'm circling her face. She's realizing that this is not the Pope. This is somebody that is non-human. Watch. I'll continue. And talking about the arrival of the new Earth, which we know is not going to be here on Earth. We're going to go to heaven first, then it's going to come back, and then the new Earth is created. You don't have 1,000 years of peace or a what they call that in the New Age, Age of Aquarius. No, that's not here. Anyway, let's watch the rest of it. So you probably have to watch the whole movie, but I think the reason why she's saying the Lord's Prayer right here is because she's realizing this is the Antichrist. This is not the Pope anymore. It's an ominous face. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting. Someone sent me that and goes, "What is going on here? Is this what the movie's talking about?" Very interesting stuff that's happening here. And I'm not saying that's de facto evidence. Nothing in propaganda is de facto. Only thing that is absolute and absolute true is God's word. And so that's why at the beginning of the show we talked about how do you know who the Antichrist is? Well, you can read Revelation 17:18, and that tells you that it was absolutely. The Antichrist was, let me see if I can bring it up here, and the woman who saw that sits in the great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. And that woman who you saw is that great city who reigns over the kings of the earth. In other words, back in his time when he was revealing all this stuff, John the Apostle, John the Revelator, while he was looking at all this stuff, he was like, wait a second. The Antichrist is that Roman church state power. And look, dressed in scarlet and purple, wears all this stuff on them to make it look like they are very impressive when Jesus never did that. Calls herself mother, the mother of all these churches that are out there, sits upon 7 mountains, dressed in scarlet and purple. All this stuff is outlined in Revelation 17. If you would read it, and it's fascinating just to point this stuff out and go, look, you can tell something is coming. We don't know if the Pope himself will be Antichrist, but it's very interesting what's happening. We do know that the Antichrist power is the Vatican system. Will Satan sit as a Pope? I don't know. If you know that, then I would like evidence to see that. But like we've said in the past, Trump has already said some pretty outstanding things about becoming that specific power, like this.
They say separation
They say separation between church and state, they told me. I said, all right, let's forget about that for one time. We said, really, the separation? I don't know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. But whether there's separation or not, you guys are in the White House where you should be, and you're representing our country, and we're bringing religion back to our country. People of faith have never been allowed in the White House. We'll probably be sued tomorrow because they're going to say church. Separation of church and state. Can't do that, right? But we'll win. Pam will win that suit. She wins them. She ultimately wins them. She gets them. Sometimes they get a judge that's not so good, but she ultimately wins. That's what it's all about, right, Pam?
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming right down the line. Everything is happening right now, and I think it's very important that we stay wise to what's going down, because it's going to get crazy. And can you think about how close everyone would come together if the Pope had integrated with America and all of a sudden they were killed, assassinated, some major thing happened to them, and they were done away with? And everyone would go, oh man, we got to rally together with the Vatican. How dare these terrible people, or whatever it was that caused this grief. Let's pick a new pope and be closer to that terrible thing that happened. And the new one that steps in is not human. NHI could be, could not be. I don't know. But it's interesting that all this stuff is happening right now. So stay close to the Lord, folks, and let's pray together before we close. Father God, thank you so much for giving us time to go over this. It's been a absolutely crazy week, and I've been in prayer with you quite a bit because there has been lots happening that's very frustrating up here, and I believe it's because of this program. It's very important that people see what's happening here. The spiritualism coming upon this world, and everyone that is going to be affected by this, it's major, and I don't think people realize how fast it's coming down the pipe. So if it be your will, help us to continue this message, help us to go forward and present this with all vigor so that we can win more souls and show them the things so that they can believe before it even happens, or so that when it does happen, they do believe, as Jesus Christ said. Father, we love you. We look forward to the day we spend with you on your throne in heaven, on that sea of glass, in a perfect square. In Jesus' name we pray all these things. Amen. All right, I don't know if I have an outro. This thing has been crazy tonight, but I'm just going to hit the button and we'll see what happens. My name is Bradley, and this has been Pure Strangeness and Absolute Normalcy, Strange Normal.